Hi, I'm Greg Stapiro. I'm from Chapter 1702 out of Moline, Illinois. I'm the Race Scholarship Coordinator. I'm here with Alexander Bethel today, and we're just going to talk to get to know a little bit more about Alexander. He's been nominated as our Race Scholarship candidate for this year, and we'll just get to know a little bit more about Alexander. So, Alexander, hey, thanks for joining us
Yeah,
here
of
today.
course. It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Hi, guys. For you who don't know me, I'm Alexander Bethel. I'm also from Chapter 1702 out of Moline, Illinois. And it's a pleasure to be on here. Genuinely, thank you so much.
So, Alexander, so what school did you go to?
So I go to Assumption right now, and I'm going into my senior year.
Going to be a senior in Assumption? That's
Yep.
awesome. So just a quick question for everybody out there. So, wanting to be a pilot is something that, all kids look at airplanes. But what was like your first experience where either around an airplane or seeing something where you first got, like we say, bitten by that bug? What was that first moment where you're like, wow, this is more than just something I want to look at. This is something I want to do.
I remember it exactly. It was on my Discovery flight. I'd always loved roller coasters growing up. I loved going on zip lines. I always loved not necessarily not being on the ground, but I guess being airborne. And that feeling of I'm airborne, but this time I'm the one in control, not the zip line, not the roller coaster, and not necessarily like a thrill junkie type of way, but like a wow, like I am above everyone, like I am in the sky, and that was like to me like just that feeling. It's just like it's something that doesn't compare to anything else I've ever done. And I've loved it ever since I did it years ago.
So what was the tallest roller coaster you've ever been on? A couple 100 feet?
I think it had to be the Monster at Adventureland. I'm not really sure. Probably definitely a couple hundred.
Couple hundred feet.
At least.
Yeah, flying is much higher than that, right?
Yeah, at least.
By a large amount there. So you've been flight training for a while, and you've got some hours. And I understand you've already soloed, correct?
I have, yes.
So tell me about that experience. I mean, every pilot has a story of their first solo. What was that like when the instructor got out, they told you to go out and do your flight by yourself? Just describe that feeling of pulling out to the runway, putting the throttle forward, and taking the flight by yourself with nobody else in the airplane.
So I remember my hands. The thing I remember most is my hands were shaking really bad. I was so nervous. I was sweating. I remember after I was so sweaty, my back had a big wet stain on it, but it didn't matter because we cut my shirt out, so there was breathability for there back there anyway. Hung it up on the wall with the other shirts. But I remember I was really nervous, but I just remember if I just like follow the checklist, follow the procedures, all that, and remember what I've been taught and learned for so long, that I would be good. But I just remember how nervous I was. But I still made some good touch and go landings. So that very first solo day, so I was nerve wracked, but I did it. So
good. That's we all have those wonderful stories, and it's just fun to reflect back on those.
Yeah.
So we're actually sitting here in front of our a flight simulator. So this is a flight simulator that EAA gave to our chapter for use for race scholars. And normally this is given to a race scholar who might not have any flight training whatsoever, with 0 hours. But since you have some experience, you've already soloed, why don't you talk about this flight simulator from your experience as someone who's already soloed, how that was able to help you get through? Because I understand that like we're requiring through EAA to do certain sort of training steps through another program and get through some certain training modules and stuff like that. Just describe a little bit of how your flight training helped you get through those challenges.
Well, every specific module is about a specific thing, like whether it be steep turns, landings, stalls, power on, power off, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So, well, first off, doing the procedures, maneuvers from already just knowing them saves so much time on learning. Okay, this is the ailerons, this is the flaps, that type of stuff. Which for someone who's starting brand new, that's good to learn. But I could, I already know. I have all this previous knowledge. I could get straight to the meat and potatoes, and it was really good. Honestly, you just get down on all those maneuvers, especially stuff like holding like steep turns, like that angle between the horizon and your the nose and everything. Like you kind of have that like in the back of your head, like okay, I kind of already know what I have to do. I just have to implement it into these controls, digitally, not with an actual airplane. But it's definitely for like stuff like maneuvers and just like the basic stuff, like what RPM setting to have for like a cruise or anything. Even if it's like a different, like a 6-pack, and I fly I don't fly fully analog, but it's like, okay, I can get used to this. I can adapt and fly. And now I was flying on a six pack when I hardly ever flew on a six pack. So it's like you're also learning new things too. Like everything I didn't already know. Like you're flying a six pack on here, like I don't usually fly six pack. So it's like it's great to learn new stuff as well, that I haven't learned before.
Yeah, so you just by talking about the six pack, so the airplanes you normally fly, you fly a Cessna.
I do.
Correct. So we also had a Cessna here in the flight sim. So that was at least very similar in that, but you said the avionics were different. So was that something that was like hard to overcome? Because I think you fly with like something with two G5s, but you said these are like all analog, like old steam gauges. Was that different? Describe how that made you feel. Was that like, hey, I'm a new challenge, or was it very difficult?
Well, it actually, it was. I don't want to say it was difficult because it did have. I don't know. I don't really know what they're called, but it's like you can it's really basic. It's like little green kind of specks. You can zoom in and out and see near airports, and that's it. It's like not really a computer, but it's like radio, and like for your squawk and all that stuff. I don't really know what it's called.
Oh, you're talking on the radio or the GPS?
Yeah, there's like a little like green. It's not very it's very very like
on the Garmin.
crunchy.
Yeah.
It's like an old one, but I still flew a six pack, so. It was something to overcome, and it wasn't really difficult, but it was like I'd approach it, I guess not necessarily in a new way, but kind of in a way that I haven't approached it before, because this is like a new way of flying for me, and there are planes like that, and we have one, right? We have the new six pack.
There's a new one, Sonic. Yeah,
Sonic. That's right, Sonic.
Sonic, the new 172 that we have. Yeah,
that's right. So it's very applicable. I mean, I don't fly that normally, but it's applicable because there's many planes like that do have that. So it's amazing to learn those things too.
Yeah, I think the one thing if you fly for a while, you'll realize that planes kind of fly the same way. The basic controls, avionics are going to be different, but you just have to learn those things. Yeah. So Alexander, since you've got a lot of flight training and you've got a lot of experience in an airplane using checklists, doing certain procedures and maneuvers, where did you find in the simulator when it asked you to do a challenge or a maneuver or something, did you find that muscle memory coming back where, since you already had lots of experience in an airplane through your flight training, where it made getting through that challenge a little bit maybe easier because that muscle memory took over?
I would say there's multiple things for that, but the biggest one was definitely, trimming out well and holding my altitude, because pretty much at the end of almost every section, it would say, okay, now trim out and hold your altitude to finish this, section. And I'd have to, so it's like doing that over and over again. And, I do struggle with that a little bit in my current flight training. So, but I was actually, it improves it. I improve it here, but I've also improved it there, so I can bring it here and there. It's like likewise type of thing. I would also say S turns, because they're pretty difficult to level out like straight and to have that perfect S, which it's that's really hard to do. But like working on that in the South practice area on here, I was able to get like a 90% like my first try. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's very applicable, and it feels like real world controls. Like the yoke and everything. It feels responsive. So. It's very, it's good. It's responsive and helpful.
Yeah. So you mentioned that at the end of each lesson, it would give you a grade. How was like getting that feedback after a short lesson in a simulator? How did that feel as opposed to like when you do a flight training with your instructor, like Jeff, or, you're up there for like maybe an hour or so, and then you get some immediate feedback, but you don't get to like hit pause and sit down and review everything. How did that simulator, what did that feel like getting that immediate feedback of some of your maneuvers?
Well, it's almost like an instant shot of dopamine,
Yeah.
It's like, wow, like I did great, and it shows you what you did good on. It shows you percentages, all this specific stuff. Mm-hmm. It gives you, plus or minus, for like rollout distance and all this other, very specific stuff that you couldn't ever get in real life unless you had measuring instruments, like specifically meant for that. It gives you, there's like a whole list. You'd scroll up and down, see everything you did right or wrong, adds up your percentages. So it's like, the best I could get on a flight is maybe like look at ForeFlight and then look at my ground track on the thing and be like, okay.
But that's on the ground. That's not like in the air. Hey, maybe you're onto something. Maybe we need to get flight instructors that give like that AI type feedback of telling you what your grade is in the air. You're like, oh, well, that steep turn was a 70. So what did it feel like in here when you did a maneuver and maybe it felt good, but then you saw the score was low? How did that feel? You're like, oh, all right, move to the next one. You're like, oh, I got to do that again. Like I can do better. Like, how did that help?
I mean, I was just like, I'll just do it again. Like I'm right here. I have like, it's like the number one thing on my priority list right now. I'm just do it again. Like there's
You're not competitive, right? You don't want to get like the top score and everything, or do
no,
you do?
I'll leave that to all the people who want to get like perfect. Like no, I'm good. I do like achieving. I do like setting myself up high there on there though. But I could just do it again.
Yeah.
It's so simple too.
Yeah, I think that's the neat thing with the simulator. It gives us feedback. So, with all of your flight experience, and again, I'm saying that because you've been training for like how long now?
Over 2 years.
Over 2 years training. So you have a certain feel. We call it, seat of the pants flying or stick and rudder skills. Like when you're in the airplane, you actually feel the motion and the movement. We don't have that here. It doesn't have like the force feedback. It's a lot of feel, but you don't get that. So where are some of the things that the simulator wasn't good at?
That it wasn't good at. That's kind of hard because it was good at a lot of things. I'm not gonna lie. But I would say a couple of things. Well, first off, the rudder, the pedals are really they're sensitive. Not only here but also in the game. They're very like your plane gets like it gets pushed back and forth and stuff.
Especially on the ground.
Yeah. Taking off was a difficulty, but after that it was realistic flight. That's a small minor thing, but I would say that overall it was really good. It was really responsive and it was really realistic. But I would also say stuff like comms. They don't really give you good like comms work. They don't. There's really not much to practice because they don't really give you anything to practice on comms. But it's like small things that I'm sure as technology improves and like stuff like AI improves too, you can easily get more scores for different specific types of things and more. Even real time feedback, I'm sure, with the advancement of AI at some point, but but it's small things. Overall, it was fantastic.
Yeah. So a lot of people have said with simulators there's something called the 5-foot rule. Like, hey, they're good when you get 5 feet in the air, and they're good like 5 feet towards the ground. And even EAA has had some webinars where they've said that. Do you think you have a better appreciation for what that means of the 5-foot rule? Like when you're on the ground, the maneuvering, you said the takeoff is difficult, and then the landing, trying to come in and flare. Do you have a better appreciation for what they say that 5-foot rule is?
Yeah, I do actually, because like you said, that responsiveness, it not only applies to the yoke, it obviously applies to rudder pedals as well. And when you're just pushing against air and there's not actually like wheels that you're in a plane that are like on the ground, it's very very quick, and you do very rapid adjustments for like left right, trying to just hold center line. It's like okay. But it's otherwise amazing.
So what would you say to somebody like if they're starting in their flight training and they have access to a flight simulator, or maybe they don't, and they say, hey, I want to jump right into flight training based on what you've experienced now with this flight sim? What would you say to them? Would you encourage them to say, hey, before you get into that, if you were to go back to day 0 of your flight training and you had this, do you think something like this would maybe help you progress a little bit faster in your flight training?
So yeah, if I had to go back to when I was 15, first started flying, I would definitely say something like this not only saves you time, but also a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of money. This is like, I wish I had something like this when I first started flying, because well, obviously, like you said, you can just hit pause, you can restart scenarios, you can be on here as long as you want, and there's no liquid fuel, or what's it called, like the burn rate.
Oh yeah.
Like there's no cost of like sitting waiting to take off, or like run up or anything. Like you're just there, you can just hit fly and you fly, and it's like, and it gives you this experience that you can practice things that. You have to go to the airport, you have to start the plane, you have to pay all this stuff. You can
pre-fly,
pre-fly, all that stuff. You can just sit here and practice, maneuvers or whatever you wanted to practice, or fly your routes, your cross countries right here, for no, fuel burn rate, for no instructor rate, just whatever internet costs.
Yeah.
It's like it's
it's a little bit of money to get it set up, but once you have a setup,
it saves probably
so you mentioned like a cross country, so where are you going to go next in your flight training, like using this? Because I know that you still have your own flight training there, but what are some of the things that like you might look at doing this? Is that something that you've done, like practice one of your long cross countries in this?
Yeah, so I'm actually about to. I'm plotting my 3-point cross country trip, and I'm flying from Quad Cities to Macomb to Mount Pleasant and back home. at the Quad Cities, and so I'm gonna fly that on here, and then I'm gonna look for my visual reference points on here to see if they're valid from the air, because they do a good job with like ground terrain and little small airports and rivers and stuff. So I can actually see it on there, my visual reference points on my 3-point cross country. So I think that's definitely what I'm gonna be doing.
That's a great
pretty
idea.
soon. Yeah.
And it'd be good to see if since this pulls real world weather, if when you're flight training, if you prepare like say flying tomorrow and you pull the weather report and you
insert it into the
and then
flight, yeah.
and then pull the real world weather for what it's going to be, is your crosswind correction right? I mean, I agree. Like I used to use simulators for that all the time, is like familiarizing yourself with an unknown airport, and like sometimes it's just hard to pick out the airport amongst the city and all. And I think you've got a great idea to try that, and so interested to hear next time we talk about that feedback and all.
Yeah, I'd love
to. So is there anything else? I mean, we've got like all of our chapter members out there that are just learning about you and learning this experience you've had with there. Is there anything else that like you would like to say to them about like this experience being the race scholar, using this flight simulator, anything else? I mean, I think everybody is out here to support you and see you get through that finish line. But anything else that you'd like to say to the chapter?
Well, first off, I'm truly blessed, and I love all you guys. You guys have all been there for me. I truly do think that we embody the spirit of aviation, like EAA says. We are the spirit of aviation. I truly believe that, with the sense of community we have. I love all you guys. I'm truly blessed to be able to even have this opportunity. You guys are all there for me, and I'm there for all you guys too. Anyone can come up and talk to me. I'm a pretty nice guy. I don't bite. I love all you guys. I think we embody, like I said, that spirit of aviation that EAA talks about. So I truly am just blessed to be here. And yeah, just thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah. Well,
it's such a blessing to be
well, yeah, it's great to talk to you. And hey, you know what? People are going to take you up on that with this flight sim. You're going to probably get a lot of questions of people saying, what did you use, all this stuff? And I think that's a good thing. And so we look forward to seeing you get through your training, how we're going to utilize this simulator. And I think at some point we're going to be sharing this flight simulator or access to it with other people in the chapter, where they can also go through some of those modules and stuff like that.
Good,
so
they should. I'm sure they'll love it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great thing. So again, appreciate your time, and
thank you so much.
Yep, we'll see you again.
All right, sweet.